If you have nothing to hide, why did you materially leave out that relevant fact? If you're not Burundi involved in the shakedown?
I stepped away from cabinet to deal with these issues, and I have met with lawyers, and we are working on legal action against Mr. Anderson right now. So let's put that on the record. The ethics commissioner, not once but twice,
I asked you, Mr. Boissonnault, why it is you materially omitted that fact, and I would put it to you. I'm going to ask you another question, but as Mr. Carr runs interference to protect you because you're a liar.
Whoa,
Mr. Chair, there are.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Hey gang, what's up? Aaron right here, Canadian Loony. Randy Boissonnault, former Minister Randy Boissonnault, disgraced minister, liar, Indigenous Randy, queer Randy, the other Randy. Why don't the Liberals have any interest in finding out who the other Randy is? It would seem in this committee meeting, all they want to do is get in the way, block the Conservatives' questions, which are very relevant. Anyhow, this is a wild committee, guys. Like, Ben Carr and Francis Drouin from the Liberal Party are ridiculous in this committee meeting. Absolutely atrocious. Michael Barrett and Michael Cooper hammer Randy Boissonnault, and Randy Boissonnault has no self-respect, guys. He's a total joke. Let's take a look. This is a wild committee meeting, like for real. It's out of hand. It's long, but check it out. It's entertaining. Let's take a peek.
On the table, and we begin the first round of questioning for 6 minutes. We have Michael Barrett.
Mr. Boissonnault, I'll give you an opportunity to come clean with Canadians. Who's the other Randy?
Mr. Chair, could you have the member please clarify his question?
Well, it's a pretty straightforward question. In your previous appearance at other committees in this scandal, you said that it was an other Randy. Who is the other Randy at your former company, Global Health Imports?
Mr. Barrett, I am not involved in any of the conversations. If you are referring to reports in the media, I'm not involved in those conversations. And the ethics commissioner has indicated very clearly that I'm not involved in any of those conversations, any of those texts between Mr. Anderson and the person you just raised. And in fact, if you take a look at recent court cases, both the Gowie Group has indicated that they've never met me. I've never met them. And 4M Medical has indicated that they have never met me. I have never met them.
So the problem that we have is that you had previously said that you didn't have any contact with your business partner, Mr. Anderson, while you were serving in Justin Trudeau's cabinet. But then when you got caught, you admitted that you had, of course, sent text messages and that there was a phone call between you and your business partner exactly when he was corresponding with potential clients and fraud victims about Randy, and Randy being in Vancouver, and that's where you were. The problem that we have is that in committee appearances, you've lied about owning 50% of the business. You lied about being in communication.
Mr. Chair.
You lied about there being another Randy.
That is not a fair characterization, Mr.
You lied
Mr.
about
Chair,
being Indigenous, and you lied about being a journalist. How can we believe anything that you say today?
Mr. Barrett, just 1 second, please. We have a point of order. Mr. Fresh, I don't know who raised it. It was...
Go ahead, Peter. Okay.
All together.
Yeah.
Mr. Carr?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, can you provide us with your reflections, please, on whether or not you believe it's within order to refer to a member in committee as a liar? Perhaps you can consult the clerk if you're unsure.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, too?
Hang on.
On that same point of order?
Mr. Drouin?
We also have the Conservative House Leader who refers himself as an American insurance broker, and we know that's a lie. Are we going to invite him at the committee? Just wondering, same standards.
Okay, well, maybe we can change the language a bit and not refer to people as liars, and I'll give you your time back, Mr. Barrett.
how can we believe anything that you say when all of the things that I've listed that you said aren't true? When you said you were Indigenous, you said you were a journalist, you said you weren't in contact with your business partner, you said that the company wasn't getting any federal contracts. All of those things aren't true. You said one thing, and the exact opposite is true. Now, your Liberal colleagues want to put flowery language around that. If you say something that's not true, we all know what that is. Why should we believe you? How can we believe you today?
Well, Mr. Chair, through you, I would like to inform Mr. Barrett that he's simply mistaken and putting false claims on. We've litigated this at ethics now twice, and the ethics commissioner himself has indicated that on the 6th, 7th, and 8th of September, I was not involved in the text messages that the National Post and that the Conservatives keep trying to raise. I'm simply not the person involved in those conversations. There was a text exchange between me and Mr. Anderson regarding a PIERRE account that needed to be settled, and I was very clear about that at ethics. There was no communication between us in the following days. Mr. Barrett,
seems to change. Your story always seems to change once you no, sir, it's my time.
And
your story always seems
to. I was there on the 8th as well.
Okay, one person at a time, please. It's very difficult for the interpreters to figure out what's going on here. One person at a time, please. I believe Michael Barrett had a question, and then we'll have an answer. Mr. Barrett. Point of order from Mr. Frederick.
This has been happening regularly in this particular exchange, and I think that it's good at the outset just to clear it up. Let's give the witness enough time to offer a response back.
Point of order? What we've experienced in this committee is the person asking the question is due their time, and is in this case, Mr. Barrett is due his time to ask the person the questions he wants to ask. So. Just challenge the chair to keep that priority. Thank you.
Yeah, what my goal here is that the length of the question matches the length of the answer. Sorry, the length of the answer matches the length of the question. We'll try to keep that as close as possible, and that way it doesn't mess up the interpreters too much, and everyone has their time. So, Mr. Barrett, you have the floor.
equal time. You said you were a journalist. Are you?
Mr. Barrett, I was a regular reporter for the Francophone news outlet, CBC Radio Canada.
Yeah,
I was a member of the Canadian Media.
And that was equal time, and that's not what CBC has said. You said you were Indigenous to get federal contracts disenfranchising Indigenous peoples. Are you?
Mr. Chair, that is simply false. That's not true. I've never claimed Indigenous status, and I've never applied for an Indigenous contract. Full stop.
Well, we know that that's also not true because the company that you own 50% of, Mr. Boissonnault, did exactly that. Your company, GHI, is under investigation for fraud and being investigated by the police. Is that correct?
I have not been contacted by any police service to that effect. And Mr. Barrett, I was not involved in any federal contracts while I was operating.
And so as much as you want to distance yourself from it, this is very much yours to own because you, in fact, own 50% of it. So you were willing to cash the checks, but you're not willing to take any of the responsibility for where the money came from and how it came to be in possession of the company. Suspicious warehouse fires, fraud investigations.
Order,
Mr. Carr?
Yeah, I'm wondering, for the benefit of myself and other committee members, I would very much appreciate if the clerk could provide the timing of the length of questioning that you are allocating. It's 6 minutes per member. Every time that you stop the clock to deal with the point of order or to address something Mr. Barrett or Mr. Zimmer or others have said, I'd like it to be tracked for the committee that you're not providing more time to Mr. Barrett. So for our benefit, please, if you could have the clerk.
Are you questioning the judgment of the chair?
I am asking for the chair through his clerk.
Are you questioning the integrity of the chair?
I am asking the chair through the clerk.
I have the timer right here, Mr. Chair, and I am keeping as close eye as I possibly
can. So, Mr. Clerk, I'm going to ask through you then, please,
Well,
sir.
no, that's not how this works, Mr.
Oh, okay.
Carr,
Well, then, Mr. Chair, I'm asking.
We trust your chairs at committee when it comes
Mr. Chair,
to that time.
Mr. Chair, I'm asking on a point of order.
I've answered your point of order.
Point of order, Chair.
I'm
This is
watching that,
clearly
Mr.
disruptive,
Yes.
intended to be disruptive.
Sorry, I
Let's get
wasn't
back
done
to
my-
work.
I
Let's
wasn't
get
done
back
my
to the
point.
work of this
I've
committee.
already ruled on that. Thank
Point
you.
of order.
If you wish to challenge the
There's
chair,
too many
go ahead.
people
but
speaking. We
Ms.
need to
Sidman-
be respectful of the interpreters.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've ruled on that. If you wish to challenge the chair, there is a process
I will
for
challenge
that.
the chair.
Okay. We'll go
Running
to a vote.
interference for Randy.
Mr. Clerk? So the challenge, would you prefer
Well, you
wording?
said you made a decision, Mr. Chair. If you
I've
haven't made a
wording
decision, I have no
that-
challenge to make.
That the
If you
chair,
have made a
as-
decision,
The chair, as always, Mr. Carr, I know we got some time here. The chair in any committee has been responsible for the timing, whether
Correct.
it's Mr. Weiler or myself.
correct.
All right? We've never had a problem with that. I don't
Correct.
anticipate there's being a problem now. But now you're calling into question my
I
integrity.
actually have not, Mr.
And
Chair.
so-
I've simply asked that
And I've
the
made a
committee.
ruling that I will keep track of the time. I have two people on either side of me
Okay.
that will watch. I have done nothing to impugn my integrity. The fact that
I
you're
haven't
still questioning
suggested that you have, Mr.
is,
Schmidt. I've simply
rather
asked for the
frustrating.
time to be made
So having
public.
said that, enough. We don't want to waste any more time. So if you wish to challenge the chair, we'll challenge and we'll have a quick vote. If not, we will move on with Mr. Barrett, who has the floor. So
So
what
just
would you choose
so
to
I
do?
can confirm here, you are not agreeing to allow for the committee to be aware of how much time is being allocated.
I
to
have
other
the
members?
timer right here. It's in
Okay.
full view of two other people.
Okay, so at any point, you're comfortable if we check in on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, you have 45 seconds. Floor is yours.
So, Mr. Boissonnault, while you were claiming to be Indigenous, the Liberal Party was also echoing that claim on their websites and posting that you were Indigenous, and the ethical problems that presents, of course, are self-evident. But I'd like to know from you, if you're aware, how much money the Liberal Party of Canada fundraised off of your false claim and their false claim that you were Indigenous when that was simply false.
So, Mr. Barrett, I sat at Indigenous Caucus as an ally between 2015 and 2019. And during the 2019 election, the party mistakenly included me on a list of Indigenous candidates. When I realized that I was on that list, I called the party, we contacted the party, and we had that mistake corrected. And I have never received, as a candidate in 2015, 2019, or 2021, any funding from the fund to support Indigenous candidates. And that is appropriate as it should be, because I do not claim Indigenous status.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Boissonnault. That completes that round of questioning. I believe continue on the second round of questioning, but now we go back to 5 minutes. Now to the Conservatives, Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Boissonnault, through you, Mr. Chair, have you commenced legal action against Mr. Anderson?
I've sought legal advice, Mr. Cooper, to look
So
at
the
all of
answer
my
to that
legal
is
options
no.
against
So
him.
let me get this straight. You claim that you are not the Randy and Anderson's text messages. The first report of this Randy being implicated in the $500,000 shakedown of the Gowie Group was all the way back 6 months ago on June 4th of this year. On July 17th, Anderson testified at the Ethics Committee that the only Randy at Global Health Imports was you. That day, you issued a statement in which you said you were, quote, deeply troubled by Anderson's testimony and suggested that he was using your name without your consent. That was 5 months ago. If you truly had no involvement in this shakedown and the operations of Global Health Imports, and Anderson was using your name, unbeknownst to you, you would have sued Mr. Anderson 5 months ago, I would put it to you. You still wouldn't, you've done nothing, is what you've said.
Point of order, Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Cooper,
Mr. Duran?
Just, I'm seeking your advice as to, is Mr. Cooper offering legal advice to Mr. Boissonnault, or is he just pontificating on something? Is he a lawyer?
I am a lawyer.
Thank you. I don't think that was a point of order. I think that was a question. I appreciate it. Mr. Boissonnault, the floor is yours.
Photographic memory?
well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, to Mr. Cooper's question, I have started the process to take legal action against Mr. Anderson now, and I'll be very clear. One of the reasons I stepped away from cabinet was to be able
besides
to
retaining counsel,
Mr. Chair,
besides
do I get my
retaining
time?
counsel, it's my time. I'm reclaiming
Chair?
my time. Besides retaining counsel, have you taken any legal steps whatsoever against Mr. Anderson in the past 5 or 6 months?
Mr. Chair, how many seconds do I have from Mr. Cooper's opening statement?
It's a very simple question. Just answer it.
Okay, hang on. Okay, as I said from the beginning, the time of the answer should be as close as possible to the length of the question. And so I've been giving a bit of leeway here, but I want to keep it as close as possible. So,
Mr. Schmale, to Mr. Cooper's first, I haven't been able to answer his first question because he interrupted me 3 times.
Okay, why don't
Can I answer his first question?
Well, he took the floor
I'm ready
back.
to
So
answer his first
I guess the time is yours. However, usually you just answer the question you just gave you.
So I'll answer the question. In the recent court case against Mr. Anderson, it is clear that Mr. Anderson has been using my name without consent. I'm not involved in
and my
those
question to
other
you was whether
conversations.
you had commenced a legal action and you have, through your non-answer, said that you
We are
haven't.
working
And so,
on-
so
we are working
Mr.
on the legal
Boissonnault,
action
it's
right
fine.
now,
We're wasting my
Mr.
time,
Point of order,
Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, point
Just
of order.
again,
I don't know who was first, Mr. Druin or Mr.
Running
Carr.
interference.
no, Mr. Cooper, it's your running interference. I thought the rule was if there's editorializing on a particular issue, then the witness has the same amount of time to answer the question, but that's not.
There's the preamble and there's the question.
On the same point of order.
Hang on, I got
Well,
Mr.
hold on a
Carr up
second. I'm
next.
not done. I'm not done. But for the respect of interpreters, Mr. Cooper keeps interrupting the witness. And I get that he doesn't want to ask questions. He just wants to editorialize on certain issues and make false claims
You don't
here.
have to give him the
But at the
time
end of the
to
day,
fund his
Mr. Boissonnault has offered his time to be here, which is unprecedented, because I'd love to have Andrew Scheer here about his fake insurance claim.
Okay, I think
on the
I think
same
we
point
got
of
that.
order, Chair.
But
I
just
think we're
let's
good.
be
Let's go
respectful.
to Mr. Carr, then Mr. Genuis. Okay, Mr. Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I think Mr. Drouin covered it. I just, for the sake of our interpreters, particularly given that we've got 3 different languages being interpreted here today, I think it's for the benefit of committee that all members involved in discussion are mindful of that. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, Mr. Genuis.
Yeah, just briefly on the point of order. The rules are not equal time between the questioner and the witnesses.
That is correct.
The rules
given the
are
circumstances.
that the member controls the time. So that needs to be understood. And secondly, let's be clear that Mr. Boissonnault is not here because he chose to come. He is here because there was a House order requiring him to be here for 2 hours. There's an unprecedented move, House order requiring him to be here. He has to be here for 2 hours, answering 2 hours worth of questions, and these liberal disruptions are just extending the amount of time that we're going to be here.
Yeah. Is he?
Now, the reason I said that, yes, you are correct, Mr. Generous, that is the rule. The reason I allowed a bit of latitude in terms of the length of time was because, in fact, we do have 3 interpretations going on at the same time. However, I do understand that witnesses do try to stretch things out. So the members do have the ability to take the floor back. So let's go back to Mr. Cooper. I even forget what question you asked, to be honest with you.
Well, Mr. Chair, I put it to Mr. Boissonnault if he had commenced legal action. He did not answer in the affirmative. I then asked Mr. Boissonnault if he had taken any legal steps whatsoever against Mr. Anderson. He changed the subject and didn't answer in the affirmative, and I would put it to him that the reason Mr. Boissonnault hasn't pursued legal action after 5 or 6 months is because the brass tacks of a court proceeding would expose him as the other Randy who violated the Conflict of Interest Act and who had an active involvement in a shady pandemic profiteering PPE company implicated in fraud. Now, Mr. Boissonnault, your credibility as a witness is very much in doubt. You came before the Ethics Committee on June the 4th, and you left the committee with the distinct impression that you had not been in contact with Stephen Anderson when that wasn't the case. Mr. MP Brock put it to you, did you call Mr. Anderson? You said, no. Why would I call Mr. Anderson? I would not. No. You said that, and then after new text messages were revealed connecting Randy in Vancouver while you were in Vancouver, suddenly you changed your story and said that you had actually spoken with Anderson and had a text message exchange with Anderson. If you have nothing to hide, why did you materially leave out that relevant fact if you're not Randy involved in the shakedown?
So, Mr. Cooper, let's go back to your earlier question. I stepped away from cabinet to deal with these issues, and I have met with lawyers, and we are working on legal action against Mr. Anderson right now. So let's put that on the record. The ethics commissioner, not once but twice,
I
has
asked
indicated
you,
that I'm
Mr.
not the person
Boissonnault, why
that
it
you
is you
referred to
materially
in-
omitted
Mr.
that
Chair.
fact, and I would put it to you.
Point
I'm
of
going to
order,
ask you
Mr.
another
Chair.
question, but as
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Carr
point
runs
of order.
interference to protect you because you're a liar.
Mr. Chair, there are
The floor is Mr. Carr's.
There are three things here. The first is Mr. Cooper a moment ago referred to Mr. Boissonnault as a fraud. I'm not sure that that's within the scope of standing order provisions. Number two, he just repeated the word liar, which you've already ruled on today, Mr. Chair.
You got a minute.
And the third thing, Mr. Chair, is that you made a ruling earlier this meeting that it's equal time for questions
Correct,
and
but
answers, regardless of if to Mr. Genius's point, which is fair, regardless of whether or not the standing order provides a provision for that or not, you ruled on that, Mr. Chair. So we would have to come back to that commentary that you made earlier in the meeting. Nonetheless, I would hope, Mr. Chair, that you will advise Mr. Cooper to be mindful of language he's using that you have already ruled to be out of the scope of order here. And quite frankly, really not well placed for parliamentarians. Thank you.
Well,
Okay, Mr. Drouin.
Mr. Cooper should withdraw his comment. It is unparliamentary language towards another member of parliament. Withdraw. Otherwise, I'm going to keep point ordering this. Withdraw the comment. Unacceptable.
I'll ask
Cooper, do
another
you care to
question. Then
respond?
Mr. Drouin
Are
can...
you responding to the point of order, or are you continuing
I'm
your line of
continuing with
questioning?
my line of questioning.
Okay.
Point of order.
Okay, Mr. Drouin
Withdraw
again.
the comment. He should not be allowed to ask questions. This
Mr.
is the
Cooper?
pure rules. Withdraw.
Do you
Withdraw.
withdraw? Your microphone's off.
I continue with my line of questioning.
Point of
Mr.
order, Chair.
Boissonnault,
Okay.
Point of order on the same point of order that's been raised.
Practice Catus.
It's a very simple thing. All he has to do is withdraw the comment. He knows very well. He's an experienced
Well-
parliamentarian. That is not parliamentary language.
I will withdraw the word lie and restate that he misrepresented to committee that he hadn't spoken with Mr. Anderson
Point of order,
when he
Chair.
did.
Point of order, Chair.
That is
Okay, he
that is a
withdrew.
fact.
He
He
withdrew.
did not exactly withdraw. The word that was used is liar. He should withdraw that
I
word.
did.
He withdrew, and he substituted with it was
I said
untruths.
that he misrepresented to
Misrepresented.
committee that he hadn't spoken with Mr. Anderson at a material time when in fact he did. And
Okay.
Mr.
So, do you going back to your question? Okay, you have 1 minute left.
Unless
point
Ms.
of
Liberals
order,
are going to
Mr.
continue
Chair.
to disrupt and run interference
I think
for
we're
him.
good. You have 1 minute.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
There they go again.
Okay, Mr. Henley.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. What I heard withdrawn was the word lie, but what I heard Mr. Cooper state was liar. I think the word that needs to be withdrawn is liar.
I think
Thank you,
we
Mr. Chair.
all, at least I knew what he meant. I knew what he meant. Okay, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Boissonnault,
Mr. we have a
Mr.
minute.
Boissonnault, you're continuing to mislead committee. You did so today, yet again. You said in your opening statement that all of the cloud of scandal and corruption reported in the media occurred after you had been elected in October of 2021. But you know that that isn't true because you were a partner at Global Health Imports in June of 2020, correct?
I was.
And you were not elected in June of 2020.
Correct.
And that is the very time that Global Health Imports submitted an application or a bid on a federal contract purporting to be wholly Indigenous owned. So why did you say that all of the allegations occurred after you had left Global Health Imports or as a partner because you were elected when, in fact, you knew that that wasn't true? One of the very material issues before this committee the fact that you have falsely represented yourself, or your company has falsely represented it as being Indigenous, occurred while you were not only a 50% owner, but one of the two partners of the company. Why did you mislead committee this morning on that?
Mr. Cooper, nothing could be further from the truth. And as I've stated very clearly, I was not involved in any federal work whatsoever in any of my businesses. And I confirmed that with the ethics commissioner. And so Mr. Anderson
Those were your words
solely
before.
Point of order,
Why did you mislead committee?
Mr. Chair, point of
Why
order.
did you mislead committee?
Point of order,
Your
Mr.
time
Chair.
is up. Your time is up. Mr. Carr, point of order, and then we
Yeah,
go to the Liberals.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Cooper very clearly heard you say on 3 occasions his time was up, yet he took to the microphone again. I think that is a clear attempt to disrespect your authority in the chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I appreciate that. Okay. I appreciate
With
the
you guys in the
cooperation of all
chamber, every-
members here. We're
We're going to wrap this one up right there. Where is the other Randy? We've always known there's one Randy. Randy's not a very good liar. He's not good at anything, it wouldn't appear. Getting into business with other criminals, I guess, maybe. And these liberals, why aren't they interested in knowing who the other Randy is? I don't get it. It's all a big cover-up. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe, get notified, come and watch one of the live shows. We have a blast. That's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. We'll catch you next time. Randy, oh Randy, where art thou, Randy? My goodness. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.